Hi, my name is David Giard. I'm a Microsoft MVP. I live up in Michigan, and I actually have a boss. I have a company, standard 9-to-5 job. I do have clients, and I work for them, but I don't. I haven't taken that plunge. It's going independent on my own. These guys all have. And so I'm going to ask them a couple of questions, and if anybody has a question or has an answer to one of my questions, just raise your hand and we'll get you involved in this, the participatory thing. So let's first introduce everybody here. Who are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm Justin Conan, owner of Conan Solutions, independent for almost a year now.
Okay.
Jay Harris, president and software consultant for Aronis Software.
Alan Stevens, my wife and I own Wild Endeavor Incorporated. I've been independent since January 2008 with a 9-month break in which I tried to take a job and realized I'm never doing anything.
Jamie Wright, Brilliant Fantastic is the name of my company. Been independent since, I think, 2006. Might have been 2005, I don't remember. But I took a 1-week or a 2-week break. Tried to work for the man. And I gave him my 2-week notice. It was like on day 3. They said, whenever you leave, let me know as the secretary, and I'll send an email to the whole company. If you have to go for an error or something.
Awesome. Who are you?
I'm Mike Leaton. My company is Validus Solutions, also MVP, and I've been independent for 10 years.
All right, Justin, how long have you been independent?
1 year.
1 year. Is this you obviously have reasons why you went independent and why you're staying independent. Is this something that everybody should consider?
No, not everybody. You have to have a certain mental stamina, and you have to have the self-control to keep yourself committed to your work, because there's a lot of distractions that if they pull you away, you won't pull in the money you need to actually keep yourself going. So you have to make a really thought-out choice if you would want to.
There's a lot of risk, a lot of financial risk now.
Definitely, yeah.
So you got to be a kind of a risk taker.
Yes.
Anybody want to add into that? The kind of people, who are the people that should be going independent? Who should be thinking about this?
People who are debt-free, who have no kids.
Which is
No one.
Yeah.
Well, question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess it sounds like more risk up front, and I'm obviously very green. But one of the things that I was thinking about before I took the plunge is how much riskier is it? Because you can make so much more in income over the course of 3 or 4 years. If you save that back, I mean, I might get laid off at my job, but here, if I can't find work, hopefully I have, I've saved a little bit of that back, and I can support myself in between projects.
Well, it's still risk. I mean, you're talking about income that has not been promised you. That's what risk is. So even though there's high reward,
Right.
risk means uncertainty.
But I'm just saying, I think you have almost the same risk, because an employer can lay me off, a contract, they can give me the 30 days or 2 weeks notice, whatever I have with them, and that's it. But I've made so much more money just on my own because I've taken on that risk up front and I've saved that. So
All right, so I'm going to dispute you just on the fact that everything in the past is a sure thing. We know that. The fact that you've made money in the past doesn't indicate that it wasn't higher risk 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I also, you're making a really good point here, is that those of us who are staying with a company because we get a steady paycheck every 2 weeks, because we get benefits, we think we're avoiding risk. And you're saying we're not.
Right.
Our jobs really are not that secure.
That's part of why one of Michael's first points during the session is, why do you want to be an independent? That pretty much is why I became an independent. After being laid off 3 times so far in my career working for the man, I realized that there is no security. And I realized that having a W-2 position is pretty much like owning your own career, because your clients can wash up at any time. And it's almost like you have employees anyways. Just you have someone telling you how to do your job instead of you telling your employees how to do your job. Because at a W-2 position, you are still effectively hiring someone to do all your marketing for you. You're hiring someone to do all your project management for you and all of your regular management for you. You're hiring someone to go be the janitor, to empty the trash bins every night. You're doing that anyway. Well, really, your employer is doing that for you, but essentially some portion of what you could be making is instead going to all of these other supporting roles.
I think it's a different kind of risk too, because when you're working a W-2 gig for the man, you don't know when that's going to end at any time. Going out on your own, it's like I said, I mean, the risk is all, if you fail, it's because of your action or inaction. So I think it's a little different kind of risk. I mean, one is a risk where you're getting a steady paycheck, you're getting benefits. It could end. The other one is a risk of, man, if I don't bill enough hours, or if I don't land the gig. That's like I said, I like the idea that it's all on my shoulders, and it's not, I'm not relying on some sales guy or some HR person to keep me safe.
The thing is where's your balance on freedom versus responsibility? I'll take on more responsibility and risk for more freedom. I just don't respond well to petty rules like how many things I can have on my desk.
But in addition to just your position can end at any time, being a W-2 employee is a risk in other ways as well. How many people work for some sort of company that at least when they signed up promised them, you guys are standard, going to get 10 days of training, guaranteed every year. And how many people actually get those 10 days of training? Well, we have a whole lot of work to do. We're under a time crunch. Training budget always seems the first thing to go. And then it's the overtime.
What do you think, since going independent, what's the biggest benefit, Jay, that you've received from going independent?
I think the other guys have alluded to it as well. When you are fully independent and working from home, if at noon you want to stop working and go to a baseball game, you can.
That flexibility, that freedom.
Right.
Everybody say, freedom! Alan, what do you think? You're a guy that enjoys his freedom.
Man, I'm a lot happier after going independent. Actually going and taking that job, because I got a really good job. I had a gig, but somebody called me and asked for my availability, and it was a really good job, and I pursued it, and I got the job, and I was so unhappy there, and that was really a lesson to me in how, even in a good job environment, it just wasn't going to work out for me long term. So the flexibility has been huge. I tell you one thing that's really big is this. Even the best employers, in some sense, think they own you and you're obligated to them. There's not a peer relationship of, this is a transaction of equals. As a consultant, that's where everything starts. And there's nothing huge about that, but it affects everything about the relationship. It affects everything about how you're treated. And people know if they're going to call me on the phone, I'm going to start the timer. If they're going to make me sit in a 4-hour meeting, I can tell them how much it costs them for me to sit there in this do-nothing meeting. And that, I think, is the biggest advantage, is that it is a peer relationship, which means that they have to talk to me like a grown-up.
Jamie, I know I've heard you say a phrase almost exactly the same thing as you have the ability to fire your customers. Sure, they can fire you, but you can fire
Some of the people in here said, they don't like the projects they're working on, they don't like some aspect, they don't code. So, yeah, you choose what you want to do. That's part of freedom, It takes a while to get to that point, though. If you're just starting out, I had to take some shitty jobs to get under my belt and get some experience and build up clientele and relationships. But once you get to that point, it's nice.
On a similar line,
But no, just look.
on a similar line, not only time freedom, but your technology freedom. I actually felt like I was kind of pigeonholed into ASP.NET and ASP Classic with SQL, and that was it for the rest of my life. But I really wanted to pursue Silverlight. Full-time employer didn't support that. So going off on my own has allowed me to branch myself out and take a little more risk, but also learn more about the trades that I want to learn versus just being stuck on one technology that they won't let me advance in.
Yeah, was there a question or comment out here? Yes, sir.
Yeah, what about other disciplines outside of development? So, you know, I'm a lousy low-rate developer right now, but I'm actually a really good project manager or program manager, Scrum Master, whatever people, the flavor of the month is. Are those opportunities out there?
This panel is all technical guys, right?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, but I do more, I'm probably 50-50 between application architect, team lead, and development in what I do. But I've worked on teams where everybody was a contractor, you know, and the Scrum Master was a contractor as well, so it's certainly out there.
Yeah, I absolutely think there's plenty of opportunities for that skill set out there because, you know, I very few, it's been a long day. 4 hours is a long time. I think the opportunities are there. I think companies want that, need that, but they don't necessarily want to invest in their own people to send them to that training. If you can come in, already have the skill set and say, hey, I can offer this to your team, then yeah, absolutely. And I know there are some companies that, you know, they pretty much only hired 1099s, like they were saying. So yeah, if you've got the,
Personally, I would love, you know, let's talk it through this, but I would love somebody to come in and just, you know, run some of the projects.
Take the arrows in the back, like I mentioned.
Yeah, take the arrows in the back, and then just tell me or another developer what to do. You know, what tasks need to be done, what's important, what failed in the project, what's going on. So, I think that's a huge opportunity. I don't know how you market that.
Yeah, it's always been the question. It's like, because I think a lot of companies.
You could have a portfolio of Gantt charts or something.
That's the first question I would ask.
Has anyone in the room?
A Gantt chart?
Has anyone in the room ever contracted or consulted as a project manager?
You transitioned into that role. I think sometimes when you get in a company, you kind of have to wear more hats at that point. So if you can't find an angle in as a project manager, maybe find some other kind of way in and show off your skills. You know, don't be afraid to talk about it.
Or consulting companies themselves. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and honestly, even people like us, like I could see, you know, partnering with someone that has your skill set and selling that to my clients, saying, look, here's what I'm good at. This product needs to be managed. You don't have a PM in-house. You know, let's get him in here. You know, and he'll be, you know, the PM, and these are the issues he'll deal with, and I can see doing it. I can see doing it that way. Now, just out on your own, just trying to sell your own services standalone might be tough. Partnering with someone like us, that's really not our strong suit.
Do you guys do that a lot? How many people here have ever subcontracted work that was outside their skill set? Is it because of the skill set or because of the workload?
Both, yeah.
Okay. With you guys on the right, not three guys on the left.
Yeah, I tend to farm out all web dev.
You don't like web?
No.
I tend to farm out all fake web.
Shut up. But I've actually got a lot of, I've got a lot of WPF work on my plate that, and that I've farmed some of that stuff out just for someone to handle, you know, bug fixes and stuff like that, because, you know.
It's a time constraint thing.
Yeah, because there's only so many hours in the day. In fact, one of my clients, we actually have a different kind of arrangement where he doesn't necessarily pay me like other clients do. He's got a good relationship with hotels in Ohio, so when I'm down here, I can pretty much stay anywhere for free, except here because they were sold out. They didn't want to swing the 4 nights, but pretty much anywhere else in Ohio, I give free rooms. And so he said the other day, he's like, I'm going to send you some money because maybe that'll get some of this done faster. And I'm like, how about you send me more time in the day, because that's what it's going to take, because there is, you know, so much to do.
Yeah.
What about general skills versus specialty skills and how that affects your clients, your marketability, your rate?
Well, I can tell you that if you've got a specialty skill that's in high demand, if you are a really good BizTalk expert, if you are a really good CRM expert, you know that stuff deep down, you know SharePoint deep down, you can command a really high rate. Now, finding that work is going to be harder. But maybe not for SharePoint right now, it's a hot thing, but these things go in cycles, you know, but it's hard to find CRM work sometimes, but when you find it, you can probably charge double what I'm charging as a consultant.
But I think that's still an employee's mindset, because businesses don't buy technology, they buy solutions. And one thing Mike hit on early on is you're running a business, and there's a book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth, where he calls this out directly. He says, technicians realize they could do this better than the people they're working for, and they go and they form a business. And then they suffer from the illusion that being a technician is what it's about. No, at that point, being a business owner and running a business is what it's about. You have to be a good technician to deliver, but it's all about running a business and communicating with your clients as business people. And they're not buying a WPF app. They're not buying a fake web app. They're not buying BizTalk. They're buying a solution to a problem. And frankly, if I don't have the skill and the contract's solid, I can probably sub it out. Or I can say, if I have a good relationship with them, well, I haven't solved this before, but I know some tools and I know some people, and if you want to pay for me to work on it, I'll work on it. And they will pay that sometimes because you are a trusted, known quantity, rather than go to somebody who's a BizTalk shop, because they don't know those people and they don't trust them. Small businesses especially run on relationships and trust, way before technology.
Alan, was that a transition for you to change your mindset from being a technologist to being a more business and value focused?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really what this is about.
Did you struggle with that at all? Did you recognize that right away? Just flip a switch and suddenly you're a business guy?
Yeah, so I don't blog much, except my wife says, unless I get really pissed off. And so I contacted some people on Twitter. I don't know if you were trying to provoke this, but this is a story of these people on Twitter talking about a business organization that sounded like a good opportunity. I knew these people on Twitter, and I pinged them and I said, hey, what would it take to get in to speak with them? Well, contact the president, and he's the guy that does the schedule. I said, great. I sent him an email with a link to a Vimeo video of a 75-minute talk I gave in front of a room full of 85 people. And it was actually pretty much around business and development, business development and personal development more than technology, although it was to a technology audience. I thought this gives credibility. You can see what I do and see if he's interested. Well, his assistant apparently saw it and replied immediately, thinking just to him, but she replied all to me, and it said, watch his movie, he is a freak.
And that's because you had long hair.
Right. Yeah, because honestly, I'm wearing like a Ralph Lauren polo and khakis. There ain't nothing else any radical, and the ideas aren't radical. But that was a huge gift to me, because it's like, okay, that's going to be everyone's initial reaction to me when I come in the room, and I just know that I've got to overcome that. And I can't overcome that if I know it's there. And I realized that transitioning into the business world is going to be an interesting challenge for me, because I'm used to being in this world where, you know, you can wear shorts, black socks, and sandals if you want, as long as you can code your ass off. I don't care, you know. But walking into a room full of business people with long hair, and the Entrepreneurs Group has been a great test for me, because I walk in there and I can start talking their language, and I've read more books than they have. Credibility goes up very quickly that way.
I love your shoes, by the way.
But yeah, well, you know, who wouldn't?
Yes, sir.
One of the big concessions, in my view, of going independent that you give up is the whole idea about pension and retirement. And I'm not trying to get personal, but I'm wondering if you would share some strategies.
How many people in here have a pension? Okay, yeah. Lucky you.
Amazingly enough.
So pensions are not an option anymore.
Go buy a Coke, I think.
No, I mean, really, pensions just don't exist. They're like, you know, they're like old technology that like Santa Claus linger around. Yeah.
Well,
so pensions are off the table.
Yes.
So now we're talking about retirement savings, and at that point, you put in your rate the matching amount that your employer would supply.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of the, you know, so one of those, you know, surround yourself with excellent people is, you know, a financial advisor to help you with that stuff. I don't always follow his advice, because I don't, you know, you have to make some concessions based on, you know, how tight things are at the time or how things are going. You know, I've got an IRA that money gets funneled into when I get the chance, when I get the money. You know, I just did a, I don't remember what site it was on. It might have been like mint.com or something. Went through all the calculations for, you know, when I want to retire, and of course it's a more realistic number now than it was a few years ago. But you know, that's now given me some guidance for how much I need to put in to make that happen. And you know, it has the whole the spectrum of, you know, are you aggressive? Do you want to be in the middle of the road? That kind of thing. But I have a financial advisor that I talk to about that stuff. Probably, you know, once a year, once every couple of years.
And the other thing with going independent is you have more options to make more money. You know, you're not sitting in a cubicle 9 to 5. You can say, you know, let's make a product here. Let's do some training. Let's do, you know, let's ramp up this consulting area and hire more people. So you have more options there to make more money more quickly.
The first thing that my wife and I did when we decided to form this company was we signed up for Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace. Yeah, I did the whole program because the worst thing about money, besides the fact that I suck at managing it, is I don't know what I don't know. And it was it was a broad, cover all the bases. All right, now I know what it is I didn't know about insurance and estate planning and all of those things. And then from that, we kind of put together our long-term plan, which right now doesn't involve any retirement savings. Because what is most important right now for us is bootstrapping, right? We need to have cash on hand in case we've got dips in revenue. But the idea is that 2-3 years out, that's all in place, and then we can start taking that and putting it away, socking it away long term.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, so I'm in my first year doing this, so I got an accountant because I figured I want to have someone do my business taxes for me to show me all the tricks. I'm hoping that, like, in the future years, I can just learn enough to do it myself just to save the money. Is that something that is reasonable, or do you guys still
No.
So I look at that one this way. He's going to be able to, my accountant, or the same thing with the lawyer. First of all, they did a lot more training on that. They're not going to come to me to build a website and me teach them how to do it while they're working through a Teach Yourself HTML in 24 hours so they can save themselves the money. In the amount of time that it takes him to do it and the amount of time really that it saves me from having to learn it and having to do it myself, instead I can put that time towards my clients and towards billable hours, and the billable hours there will cover his costs.
Well, and think about this, tax laws change all the time. Tax laws are changing all the time. It's his job to keep up on those tax laws. And the $500 I spend to get my taxes done every year, more than
absolutely.
Just remember,
he saves thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
And they look for that stuff.
Dude, they are ninjas. Yeah. They will look at that like, no, you're not paying taxes on that. This is business development. Yeah. Really? Oh, my child's recital outfit was business development? Oh. I know people who bought a new dining room suit as a boardroom furniture. That stuff is no more of an optional expense than having an internet connection for doing development.
Right. And the same thing with the attorney. I mean, so this junior guy that I've been dealing with, he bills $185 an hour, and then the other guys are upwards of $300. But you know what? I don't care. I'd rather have a rock solid contract written by professionals than hack one together. So yeah, that kind of stuff is more than worth the money that I spend.
But it's just like changing the oil in my car. It is not worth me getting my hands dirty. Because if I just let somebody else do it and go home and bill an hour, I'm more than paid for it. So, you know, so it costs $300 to have the lawyer review your contract. Well, go earn the $300.
Yeah, it's a couple hours.
Yeah.
I learned the lesson early, but when I was full-time, I tried to do my own taxes with my own house and stuff, and I did it wrong flat out. I mean, I tried to learn and be smart about it, but I just did it wrong. And that was the simple tax forms. Now, once you get a business involved and expenses, it gets so complicated.
That's the other thing, too, where when they prepare it, they take on the responsibility if there's an audit.
Exactly.
Right? So they're taking on a burden where if they screwed up and I get audited, there's a certain amount of guarantee there that they're gonna, you know, help take care of that. So if it's my name on it as the preparer, it's all on me. If it's theirs, then.
But do some research when you're finding your accountant and you're finding some lawyer. I mean, we complain all the time about our clients that just go and find the rock bottom price. When, well, of course you've got this crap software. You went and found the guy that would do it for $5 an hour. Do some research when you're finding your accountant. And that was one of the mistakes I made when I was setting up an organization. I just went to an attorney to set up all of the paperwork filing with the state, with the Fed, and they did it wrong. And though they corrected it for the filing of my company, there's a certification of correction to take it from being filed by Jeffrey Harris into Jason Harris, because the lawyer didn't even spell my name right.
Those people are independents too, and they live and die by referrals. So, you know, get some recommendations.
So, follow-up question to that, do you have to do your personal taxes too, or are those simple enough?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes it much easier.
Yes.
And really, it's so intertwined, and how they file it determines what my personal income is.
Okay.
No, I mean, those guys literally, I think it's $600 for my accountant. He's so much worth it.
Question in the back.
And just a question for you guys. How many of you guys would have felt, and I don't know your individual situations or statuses with this, would have felt comfortable taking that leap of faith to, all right, I'm going to go out and do it, assuming, you know, you made the right decision, this feels right for you, with either the magic 6 months or whatever of salary sort of stashed, or a spouse that has a steady job. I don't know if that played a part for you.
No. I had neither. I had a 4-month-old at home. My wife wasn't working. We had no savings. And honestly, I would still do it again. I would still do it again because it's about being happy. It's about, you know, I think Dave asked earlier, you know, what one of the biggest benefits is for me, and yeah, it's being happy. But I'm a much more relaxed person. I you know.
Don't make him angry.
Just,
like him.
I don't stress about things as much as I used to. I don't get so worked up about stuff. I mean, when I was working, you know, that full-time job, I mean, there were so many things that you just get angry about, but you can't do anything about. You know, I couldn't change the HR policy about 5 items on my desk. I'd come home angry about it. It's a silly thing to be angry about, number one, and then to bring it home. You know, so I would do it again in a heartbeat in the same circumstances.
I have a different story. Accountant Solutions has actually been around for 2.5 years. I've only been independent for 1. I was doing moonlighting for about 1.5 years. And I was doing the planning phase. I was actually building up my own savings for critical. I was actually building up 6 months worth of salary in KS. And then it got to the point where I was working 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week for both sides, and I was going insane. So that's the point where I made the decision, I've got to cut this back. And so that was my leaping point. I had as much safety net as I personally could. There was nothing that drove me to leave other than the fact I couldn't work both jobs at the same time. So,
Rob, do you have a question?
Yeah, as a follow-up to that, are any of your wives, stay-at-home wives, putting basically all the pressure of earning the money on you?
So that was so my wife and I have been married for. Oh, sorry.
That's taking too long.
This will be 14 years. We've been together.
This is an edit.
Yeah, don't record that.
She's a saint, by the way. But you all knew that.
We've been together for 20 years, been married for 14. And so we had our first, and she's like, I'm gonna stay at home. And I was fine with that. Well, then I left. It was probably, she went back to work full-time about 4 years ago. But toward the end there, it was stressful for me. It's hard being the sole breadwinner. It was stressful for me to have that, I don't want to say burden, because I'm there to support my family and provide for them, but it did get a little stressful. It's much better now that she is back to work. And so I do like having some of that burden taken off, because I mean there are those times I can't. The one thing, the point of contention was always, once I send the invoice out, there's nothing else I can do, right? And she's like, well, when do you get paid? I don't know. I sent the invoice out. What do you want me to do? And that would inevitably turn into, well, why don't you get a job so then you? And which is a horrible thing to say, right? It's a horrible thing to say, but it was that stressful of being the sole breadwinner. And I'm glad she's in the position she's in now, and I'm glad, you know, I'm still doing what I'm doing, but yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, question over here.
Yes, I was wondering what each one of you, I know you're in an LLC, I was wondering how LLC, S Corp, sole proprietor.
I'm an S Corp.
I'm an LLC.
My accountant made a very good case for going S Corp. The LLC has been diluted over the last 10 years from when it was first released. The liability protection is not what it once was.
Real quickly, can we have a definition of
Limited liability
LLC
corporation.
an S corp?
And an S Corp is, it's a flow-through corporation. Yeah.
It's its own.
It's just like a classification of
Yeah.
corporation.
So the difference is in the tax laws. One, you're taxed once.
The tax, no, you're taxed once with an S Corp. It's all, they're both
C-Corp.
C Corp, you're taxed twice.
The difference is the liability protection.
The difference is liability, but the other thing, the thing that won me over with the accountant, and I'm not one, so don't trust me, but he said you can give more names for the money you earn. So for instance, he said instead of taking a tax credit on having your office at home, you can just pay yourself a monthly reimbursement. And that money doesn't have any FICA on it. I pay income taxes but no FICA. And just with that, he earned his money for the year by saving an equivalent amount. And also things like my wife and our employees. So he calculated what our salary was to keep it below the limit of where we'd have to pay income tax with every pay cycle. We just pay quarterly. So, you know, there's a lot more flexibility in there that suited us. It may not suit you, but it suited our circumstances.
And I'm not a tax attorney per se, but Kona Solutions in itself is an LLC. To the government, we're registered as an LLC, but we're taxed as an S Corp. So you don't have to say LLC. When you actually are an LLC, you get to choose how you're taxed. Sole proprietor, partnership, S Corp. It's flexibility of being an LLC. Being an S Corp in the government eyes, being registered as an S Corp, in terms of a company, there's a lot of paperwork. There's actually like private shares to be passed around, a whole bunch of paperwork.
It's $200 to pay your accountant to do it all. Don't be intimidated.
Yeah, but with an LLC, it gives you the flexibility to choose your taxing without having to go through the paperwork of being an S Corp. So that's kind of what we did. Because I have a partner, and because we're partners, not just one guy, I had to go S Corp style for the same benefits that.
But an LLC is made up of members rather than stockholders.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about Alan too is because he is an employee of this company, he could lay himself off and draw unemployment.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, it's the truth.
We only have about 5 minutes left. I do want to ask this question. We asked earlier what's the best thing about being a consultant? What's the worst thing?
You now have 27 bosses instead of one.
Yeah.
Sometimes working with clients stressful. And you don't have to work, but I do work like 80 hours a week. Like you don't have to do that, but I want to do that now, so I don't have to do that later. So,
That's the worst part of it, is you're always thinking about what's coming next.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Always, never goes away. What's coming next? Am I working on this next thing? Am I making sure? What if this goes away? It doesn't work out.
For me,
Juggling clients
for me, the worst part is not having paid time off. It's when you go on a vacation, you know that you're losing all of the money from that week's worth of billable hours. Or sitting here talking to you guys, I'm not getting paid. Though I consider this is a marketing endeavor for me. This is a business effort.
This is all business development. It'll all be written off as business development.
Intellectual value. We're also paying you in love.
Yeah. But if I'm sitting on a beach in Mexico, I'm no longer earning 10%.
Justin, what's the worst part?
Dean, you had a question?
My question is really related back to the taxing and as far as how you keep records of knowing, if you're not the tax guy yourself, your tax guy at least had to say you need to be making sure you're tracking these certain things and what that is in general.
My income and expenses, that's what I give him.
Get a checking account for a business, have a card, and anything that you do business-wise, put it on that card.
Yep.
And don't mix.
Don't ever mix them.
Mix your personal with your. Don't mix personal and business.
Yeah.
Question?
When you guys started up, did you have business lined up already?
Myself, yes.
I just had one gig.
That's kind of what it sounded like, at least.
I did.
I had one gig that was 3 months, and then it went on from there.
How long have you been doing this, Jamie?
Since I think 2006.
All right, it's about 5:28. How about the final thoughts? Let's start here with Justin.
Don't be afraid. I mean, if you feel it's for you, give it a shot. I mean, if you're willing to take the risk, I think it's well worth it, and there's a lot of benefits that outweigh the cons.
To me, the most important thing to remember, one of Mike's points was make sure that you have spousal support. If you don't have that, it's not going to happen. A lot of our reasons for wanting to make this change from being a W-2 to being independent is the control, is so that we can put as many pieces of flair on our desk as we want to. Our spouses, they're not getting any control at all. They might even have less control because they're losing that image of security. So you have to have full spousal support.
Don't put it off. You're in this room because you're interested. You obviously have enough interest to devote 4 hours of your time. There are so many things you can do today to move you toward being ready to make the leap that require no risk. Get yourself a business mailing address at the UPS store. Set up your bank account. Get yourself a domain. Set up a WordPress site on the domain. Get business cards printed up. Do everything so that all of that's in place. So now you just have to line up business and you're already ready. Meet with your accountant, do all that stuff. You will learn so much. I know I learned so much from doing all that, but I was doing it at breakneck speed because I already had invoices going out and checks coming in. You could have all that done now, and 6 months from today, you could decide, take this job and shove it and walk out, and you're in a great position. So don't wait.
I would go back to Alan's point of make sure you really want to do this, because if the why, like you said, if the why is not big enough, then you're not going to work on it. It takes a lot of work. So I'm not up here trying to say it's easy at all. It takes a lot of work. So.
But you get to wear cool hats.
You get to wear hats all the time.
And, the thing I've echoed throughout this is just, be happy. If you're happy being in a queue, cool, stick with it. If that's what you want to do, awesome. If you're not, find whatever it's going to take to make you be happy. I just can't stress that enough. And the other thing I would say is that find yourself a good, solid support group. Find a good peer group that you can talk to, bounce ideas off. Create a group like this. It's one of the best things I've done, and I'm glad that I started this one up, and keeps us all honest.
What about for those of us who are antisocial and barely have geeky friends in the first place?
We're all, I'm
Yeah. We don't really like people or each other.
Okay. I mean, seriously though, I have a problem of even finding friends that don't know anything about technology, let alone people that do.
Use this week to resolve that.
Absolutely. Get Skype contacts and say, let's call each other Friday.
What's your name?
Bryce Darling.
Bryce?
Bryce, yep.
Everybody, this is Bryce.
Look at all these friends you have here in being independent.
I think I know the answer to this question. Is there anybody up here that, if they had to go back, they would not do it again? Any regrets about going independent?
My only regret is not doing it sooner.
Amen.
Thanks very much. Any other questions going up here? And enjoy the conference. Thank you. Thank you.